Hey man, let me open with something that's gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable. If you want a relationship that actually works, not the watered down, walking on eggshells, constantly apologizing version that most men settle for, you need to become something that society has been trying to beat out of you since childhood. You need to become a bad man. Now, before you click away, hear me out. I'm not talking about being cruel. I'm not talking about being abusive, manipulative, or heartless. That's not what this is. I'm talking about being the kind of man who can't be controlled. The kind of man who doesn't bend his spine to keep a woman comfortable. The kind of man who values his own self-respect more than her approval and isn't afraid to show it, because here's what nobody wants to admit. She says she wants a nice guy. She says she wants someone who listens, who cares, who's always there for her. But watch what happens when she gets exactly that. Watch how quickly she gets bored. Watch how fast her respect fades. Watch how suddenly she's not sure what she wants anymore. The nice guy gives her everything, and she leaves anyway. But the man she can't stop thinking about, the one she obsesses over years later, the one she compares every other guy to, he wasn't nice, he wasn't soft, he wasn't agreeable, he was bad, and that's exactly why she couldn't forget him. Let's start by destroying a lie you've been fed your entire life. You were taught that being a good man means putting others first, that kindness is the highest virtue, that if you just give enough, love enough, sacrifice enough, you'll be rewarded with loyalty, respect, and lasting love. It sounds beautiful, it feels righteous, and it's complete garbage. Look around at the men who operate this way, the ones who text back immediately every time, the ones who rearrange their schedules for her convenience, the ones who apologize even when they did nothing wrong, just to avoid conflict, the ones who swallow their truth to keep the peace. What do they get? They get walked on, they get taken for granted, they get the participation trophy of "you're such a good guy" right before she leaves them for someone who makes her feel something. And here's what kills me. These men think they're doing it right. They think their suffering is noble. They think if they just try a little harder, give a little more, she'll finally see their value. But she already sees their value. That's the problem. She sees a man with no boundaries, a man who can be molded, a man whose spine bends with her moods, and deep in her biology, in the ancient wiring that she can't override with logic, she reads that as weakness. Not because she's cruel, because she's a woman, and women don't surrender to weakness. They can't. Their entire nervous system is designed to seek out strength. So while she might appreciate the nice guy, she doesn't desire him. While she might feel comfortable with him, she doesn't feel alive with him. And eventually, comfortable isn't enough. She wants fire. She wants edges. She wants a man who can't be tamed. And the nice guy, he tamed himself before she ever got the chance. So what does it mean to be a bad man? It doesn't mean being a villain. It doesn't mean treating her poorly, playing games, or causing pain for the sake of power. Being a bad man means you cannot be manipulated by her emotions. It means when she throws a tantrum, you don't scramble to fix it. When she gives you the silent treatment, you don't come crawling back begging to know what's wrong. When she tests your boundaries, and she will, you don't fold just to keep her happy. The bad man holds his ground, not with aggression, not with cruelty, with calm, unshakable certainty. He knows who he is, he knows what he wants, he knows what he will and won't accept, and he doesn't need her approval to stand in that truth. That's what makes him dangerous to a woman's emotional chaos. She can't rattle him. She can't steer him with her moods. She throws her storm at him and he just stands there, watching, observing, unmoved. And that stillness, that refusal to react, it does something to her that niceness never could. It makes her feel safe. Not because he gives her everything she wants, but because he won't sacrifice himself to give it. Because his frame is stronger than her chaos. Because he's the one thing in her life that doesn't bend when she pushes. Society calls that man cold, arrogant, toxic, but she calls him unforgettable. Here's something the nice guy never learned. No is one of the most attractive words you can say to a woman. Not because it hurts her, because it proves you have standards. When you say no, you're telling her that your time, your energy, your values matter. You're showing her that you're not just some option waiting to be picked. You're a man with a vision for his life. And if she wants to be part of it, she has to bring something real. The nice guy never says no. He's too scared. He thinks disagreement will push her away. He thinks if he just goes along with everything, she'll love him more. But what actually happens? She loses respect for him, because a man who agrees with everything stands for nothing, and you can't admire someone who stands for nothing. The bad man says no without apology. He doesn't explain himself into the ground. He doesn't justify his decisions to earn her acceptance. He simply states his position and lets her react however she wants. If she gets upset, fine, she's allowed to feel. But he doesn't change his answer just because she doesn't like it. He doesn't rewrite his standards to match her preferences. He lets her experience the reality that he is not here to serve her comfort. He's here to build something real. And that's when something shifts. When she realizes she can't change him, she starts changing herself. When she sees his frame won't break, she stops testing it and starts respecting it. The nice guy tries to earn her approval. The bad man makes her earn his. That's not cruelty, that's polarity. And polarity is the heartbeat of attraction. Now, if what I'm saying is starting to click, if you're recognizing patterns in your own life, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share next goes deeper than just attraction. We're about to get into why the nice guy destroys relationships, why her testing never stops, and how to become the man who doesn't just get the girl but keeps her respect for life. This next part might be the most important thing you hear today. Let me explain something most men never understand about women. She will test you, constantly, relentlessly, sometimes consciously, sometimes without even knowing she's doing it. She'll say things designed to trigger you. She'll create drama out of nothing. She'll push boundaries, make irrational demands, and watch your reaction with laser focus. And if you fail, those tests, if you get emotional, reactive, defensive, or desperate, something switches off inside her. The attraction starts dying, not because she wanted you to fail, but because your failure proved something she was afraid of. It proved you can be moved. You see, her testing isn't about getting her way. It's about finding out if you're real. She wants to know that when life gets hard, when external pressure mounts, when real challenges arrive, you won't crumble. If she can shake you with a mood swing, how will you handle actual adversity? If her silence makes you panic, how will you lead when things get serious? Her tests are the entrance exam to her deepest trust, and most men fail it by trying too hard to pass. The nice guy sees her test and immediately tries to fix it. He apologizes, explains, accommodates, adjusts. He thinks he's being a good partner. What he's actually doing is showing her that her emotional manipulation works. And once she knows it works, she can never fully respect him again. Because now he's not a leader, he's a reactor. He's not the mountain, he's the weather. The bad man responds differently. He sees the test for what it is. He doesn't take the bait. He observes her behavior with calm detachment, responds from his center, or doesn't respond at all, and lets her emotional storm pass without changing his position. That's not ignoring her, that's leading her. And here's what happens. She stops testing. Not because you won some argument, but because she finally found what she was looking for. A man she can't destabilize. A man whose frame holds regardless of her chaos. A man worthy of her surrender. That's what she wanted all along. She just couldn't ask for it directly. Here's the ultimate truth about masculine power in relationships. It comes from your willingness to leave. Not as a threat, not as manipulation, not as some game to make her chase you. Your willingness to walk away is power because it proves that you love yourself more than you need her. The nice guy can't do this. He's terrified of losing her. His entire identity is wrapped up in the relationship, so he tolerates disrespect. He accepts treatment he'd never accept from anyone else. He stays where he's not valued because he's more afraid of being alone than being diminished. And she feels that fear. It radiates from him. She knows she could cheat, lie, disrespect him in 100 ways, and he'd still stay. He'd still try to fix it. He'd still beg for another chance. That's not love, that's addiction, and no woman respects an addict. The bad man is different. He wants her. He might even love her deeply, but he doesn't need her. His life, his mission, his self-worth, none of it depends on her presence. So when she crosses a line, he doesn't threaten. He doesn't yell. He doesn't give ultimatums. He just leaves. calmly, decisively, without drama or revenge. And that's when she realizes what she's actually dealing with. Not a boy who will tolerate anything for her attention, a man who values himself enough to walk away from anyone who doesn't honor that value. That realization changes everything. When she knows you can leave, she shows up differently. She stops taking you for granted. She softens. She rises to meet your standard instead of expecting you to lower it. The nice guy's love says, "I'll accept anything from you." The bad man's love says, "I'll give you everything, but only if you deserve it." One creates dependency, the other creates polarity. Guess which one actually works? What I'm about to share next is where most men completely miss the point. They hear, "be a bad man," and think it means being cold, emotionally unavailable, or playing games. That's not it at all. The next section explains exactly what separates the bad man from the damaged man, and why the difference determines whether you'll have the relationship of your life or end up bitter and alone. This distinction is everything. Let me be clear about something important. The bad man is not emotionally unavailable, he's emotionally disciplined. There's a massive difference. The emotionally unavailable man is running from his feelings. He's cold because he's scared. He's distant because he doesn't know how to connect. He withholds affection as a defense mechanism, not a conscious choice. That's not strength. That's damage wearing a mask. The bad man feels everything. He's capable of deep love, vulnerability, and connection, but he chooses when to reveal those layers. He doesn't dump his emotions on her like a child seeking comfort. He doesn't use his feelings to manipulate or guilt. He shares himself from a position of strength, not desperation. When he's vulnerable, it's intentional. When he opens up, it's earned. He doesn't withhold to punish. He reveals in layers to build trust. And that's what makes him intoxicating. She can feel his depth. She knows there's more beneath the surface, but she can't demand access to it. She has to earn it through her own consistency, her own respect, her own feminine grace. The nice guy gives it all away immediately. His heart is on his sleeve from day one. Every emotion, every insecurity, every fear handed to her before she's proven she deserves to hold it. And what happens? She loses interest, not because vulnerability is unattractive, but because unearned vulnerability is burdensome. It puts her in the position of being his emotional caretaker before she's even decided if she wants to be his partner. The bad man reverses this dynamic. He makes her wonder, he makes her curious, he makes her invest before he reveals, and by the time she finally sees his depths, she's already committed, not because he trapped her, but because she chased the mystery long enough to fall in love with the man behind it. That's not games, that's self-respect with strategic patience. Here's what modern culture refuses to teach you. Great relationships require polarity. Masculine and feminine, leader and responder, structure and emotion, direction and surrender. When you erase that polarity, when you try to make everything equal, balanced, the same, you kill the spark. You create a friendship, maybe even a partnership, but not a passionate, lasting, romantic connection. The nice guy erases polarity without realizing it. He becomes soft to match her emotions. He follows her lead to avoid conflict. He prioritizes harmony over truth, comfort over challenge, and in doing so, he becomes her emotional equal. Which sounds good in theory, until she realizes she's not attracted to her emotional equal. She's attracted to her emotional anchor. The bad man creates polarity naturally. He doesn't match her energy, he counterbalances it. When she's emotional, he's logical. When she's chaotic, he's calm. When she's uncertain, he's decisive. He doesn't absorb her storm. He stands beside it, unmoved, offering her something to lean on that won't collapse. That contrast is what creates attraction, not similarity, difference, not agreement, healthy friction, not compliance, challenge. She needs to feel that he's different from her, that he operates on a different frequency, that he brings something to the table that she can't provide for herself. The nice guy gives her a mirror, the bad man gives her a mountain, and mountains don't move. That's what makes them beautiful. Want to know the fastest way to become the bad man? Stop needing women to feel complete. Most men build their entire identity around relationships. They measure their worth by whether she's happy. They sacrifice their passions, their friendships, their purpose, all to keep her satisfied. They become shadows of who they were before they met her, and eventually she resents them for it. Not because she wanted to destroy them, but because she wanted a man and ended up with a shell. The bad man never lets this happen. He has a mission that exists outside of her. He has standards that don't bend with her moods. He has a life that keeps moving whether she's in it or not. She can be part of his world, but she cannot become his world. That's not selfishness. That's the only way to be a man she can actually respect. When your purpose is stronger than your need for her, everything shifts. You stop making decisions based on keeping her. You start making decisions based on who you're becoming. And paradoxically, that's when she becomes more attracted than ever, because now she's not dealing with a man who needs her validation. She's dealing with a man on a path, and she gets to decide if she's worthy of walking beside him. That's the frame. And inside that frame, great relationships become possible. So how do you actually become this man? You don't become the bad man by reading scripts or copying behaviors. You become him by doing the inner work that most men are too afraid to face. You become him by healing your wounds, the ones that make you seek validation from women in the first place, the ones that taught you that love equals sacrifice, the ones that convinced you that keeping the peace is more important than speaking your truth. You become him by facing your shadows, the nice guy patterns, the people-pleasing habits, the fear of conflict that runs your life without you even knowing it. You drag those into the light and decide who you want to be instead. You become him by building something real, a purpose, a mission, a vision for your life that doesn't depend on anyone's approval. When you have that, walking away from the wrong woman isn't just possible, it's obvious. You become him through loss, through rejection, through letting go of women who didn't deserve what you offered. Every time you choose yourself over her comfort, you strengthen the muscle. Every time you hold your frame when she's testing you, you earn your edge. This isn't something you perform, it's something you become through years of conscious effort, painful growth, and relentless self-honesty. And when you finally arrive, when you embody this energy from your core, you don't chase women anymore. You don't perform for their attention. You don't adjust yourself to fit their preferences. You simply exist as a man who knows his worth, and women feel it before you say a word. Let me leave you with this. The bad man is not bad at all. He's just good in a world that calls self-respect arrogant, calls boundaries toxic, and calls masculine strength dangerous. He's loyal to his standards, not her emotions. He's loving to women who earn it, not everyone who asks. He's available to connection that enhances his life, not chaos that disrupts it. He doesn't manipulate, he leads. He doesn't dominate, he protects. He doesn't perform, he exists. And when the right woman meets him, when she experiences a man who can't be moved by her chaos, who respects himself too much to settle, who walks with purpose whether she's there or not, she doesn't just fall in love, she surrenders, not because he forced her, but because she finally found what she was always looking for. A man she can trust, a man she can admire, a man whose strength makes her feel safe enough to be soft. So be that man. Be the one who isn't afraid to be misunderstood. Be the one who holds his line when everyone else folds. Be the one who chooses truth over comfort, clarity over chaos, self-respect over approval. Be the bad man. Not because it gets you women, though it will, because it's the only way to become the man you were always meant to be. Walk with peace in your chest, fire in your eyes, and an edge that never dulls. The right one will find you, and when she does, she'll know she found something rare. Not a nice guy who bent for everyone, a man who bent for no one, except a woman who proved she was worth standing beside. That's not toxic, that's not arrogant, that's not cruel. That's masculine love, the real kind, and it starts with you deciding right now to stop apologizing for your strength.